Can you understand English perfectly, but you struggle when it's time to speak? You're not alone. I had the same problem before. And in this video, I'm going to explain to you why this has happened and how you overcome it. Make sure watch until end of the video, because at the end of the video, I'm going to give you 4 tips that help you to speak English with confidence. Let's dive in. So first of all, let's understand the problem first. Different language process. The problem often comes down to the difference between active and the passive language skills. Understanding the language that is listening and reading is a passive language skill, and speaking and writing it's an active language skill. So basically, it's easy to improve your passive language skills because you're producing it. So throughout reading the book or listening to any TV shows or any musics, you don't have to involve any effort comparing the active skills that. In the active skills, you have to produce the effort. You have to recall the grammar, you have to recall the words when you're writing down or when you're speaking that. So you have to push your brain to give you the knowledge what you know. Active skills is always more challenging than the passive skills. For example, that when you're watching the TV shows, you understand every word, every grammar, even the cultural references. You understand everything. When it's time to speak, you just freeze up and you don't know what to say, even though you understand everything else. I know this happens to you many times because it happened to me as well. I understood everything else, but I couldn't speak. So this is the problem, that even though you read the whole book, you struggle with the writing, just one sentence. But don't worry about that. I've got a plan and we will talk about at the end of the video. Now let's talk about the second problem. Second problem, lack of practice. Many people believe that as long as you understand the whole conversation, speaking will naturally follow. That's not true. Just because you are good at understanding doesn't mean you will develop the muscle memory for speaking fluently. Because your daily routine involves lots of silent study, which is reading or listening, or even though studying for the grammar. But you do very little active speaking. Without regular speaking practice, it's really hard to talk confidently. Even if you know all the words, all the vocabulary, it's not easy to put all the knowledge together without even practice. It is like understanding how a car works, but not being able to drive it. In order to drive a car, you have to practice behind the wheel. Now we are coming to problem number 3, which is fear of making mistakes. Many people feel anxious about when they are speaking English. They are fearing that they will make mistakes or mispronounce the words. I had the same problem before. I was thinking that should I say was or were, which will be the correct? And I'm always trying to focus on making the right sentence rather than the speaking. In that time, when I'm thinking in my mind, sometimes I couldn't make the sentence exactly what I wanted. And that one pushed me back, slowed me down my progress, even though I understand everything else. One of the big lessons that I experienced when I was working in fully English restaurants. Many tourists, they fully understood the menu, but when it's time to speak, they couldn't express themselves. And sometimes I was hearing that, they was preparing what they're gonna say. It was a good practice, that. Nothing wrong with that. But only things, they didn't have speaking practice before. I was trying to calm down to get their order when they're speaking English, and they were fearing to make the mistakes. I was always saying that it's okay to make mistakes, because during that day, when I took the order from the English person, they made lots of mistakes. What we're trying to do when we order something else, we say, I would like to order a pizza. That's the correct word. And English people, sometimes they say that, I will take a pizza, which is, one of the things you can say that, it's totally alright. But we're trying to do the making the perfect grammar. It's not important to making the perfect grammar. It's important part to express your feeling, express your opinion without fearing making any mistakes. So what you can do about it? The first tips, practice speaking regularly. The more I practice, the luckier I get. Get a player. So we have to do speaking practice without no excuse. The couple of ways to do that. Finding a speaking partner, joining the community who wants to speak English like you. You can go to English speaking country. If you can't find any partner to speak, why don't you speak yourself? It's so much easier to do that, to practice every day. And you can start with describing what is around you. For example, that glasses, or a ring, or bracelet, or a power bank. Just start with what is around you. Maybe you can start with a sentence, making a sentence that I am holding a pen, and make it a little bit longer. I am holding a purple pen with my right hand. So this is a practice you can do when you start speaking yourself, and you can tell about how do you feel. Whatever you're talking about in your mother language, you can talk about in English as well. Because many times I was talking in my head in English. I was thinking that the conversation I had yesterday, I could have said this, or I could make more longer sentence. And I was trying to make sure to make not the same mistakes or the longer sentence for the next conversation. That practice helped me a lot, because the key is to get comfortable with the language. So how we can get comfortable? To come in the second tips. Start small and build confidence. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Don't pressure yourself to speak perfectly from the start. Instead of making a complex sentence, why don't you start with a small and a simple sentence that, and slowly you can progress it. The goal is that with a confidence step by step. Don't worry about sound like British or American, because that one leads you to forgetting the words. Instead of focusing the accents, just focus what you want to say. Imagine that one of the British tourists is coming to your town, and that tourist trying to speak your language. What do you feel about that? You know, they are making lots of mistakes when they're speaking your mother language. And you feel that it's okay because that person trying to speak my language, and you feel happy about that. It is the same things when you speak English in the beginning. So exactly the same things. Start with the small, simple sentences. Even though when you make mistakes, do not stick on it. Try to move on. And the tips number 3, embrace your mistakes. What we talk about the tourist. If any tourists, when they come to your town, let's say they want to go to grocery store, and in the grocery store they want apple. So if they give the expression I want apple, so you understand that person want an apple. But what we are trying to do, we are trying to make the complicated sentence. I would like to have a red apple from the shelf. This is the correct sentence. There's nothing wrong with that. But until we thinking about that sentence in our head in the beginning, it's so hard to produce the language. Instead of that, trying to focus what they want to say. Of course, I'm not saying that stick on the basic sentence, but when you start with a small sentence, you'll try to make less mistakes. Even though if you make the mistakes, just carry on. Everyone makes mistakes, even the British person.
That I wish we would have written, or wrote it.
And maybe you heard about that. Albert Einstein said that anyone who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new. Remember, every mistake is a learning opportunity. Don't be afraid to make them, because more you practice, the less mistakes you will make along the way. And the last tips, shadowing technique can significantly improve your speaking skills. It's not just speaking skills, and also pronunciation, grammar, and the listening skills as well. So you just find in a video clip that you want to practice it, and you repeat it again. If you don't know how to do that, I made a full video with the practice that you can simply watch it just from here. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.